Happy Independence Day. I am Professor Nidumolu, Clinical Professor of Organizational Behavior at the Indian School of Business. It's important to know what freedom at work means. It's something we usually don't think about, but you can think of freedom, the definition, as the right or the power to think, to feel, and to act the way you want to. Therefore, freedom at work means the power to have your beliefs or your thinking, the actions that you have, the behaviors that you have, and the feelings that you have, that these are not controlled by others. That is what freedom at work means. There are three kinds of freedom at work. Here I'll just talk about the first kind, and that is freedom over the content of your work. Here you can think of content in three ways. The outcomes or the ends that you produce, such as the outputs, the deliverables. You can have freedom on that. The second aspect of content is the how, the process, the approach that you use to produce those outputs. You could have freedom on that. And the third is the means, and that is the resources that you use to pursue those ways that lead to the ends. So all three could be either something you have freedom to do, or they could be constrained. The second way of thinking of freedom at work is about the nature of that freedom. Here you can think of two different aspects: freedom from constraints and freedom to pursue opportunities. Freedom from constraints is freedom from the interference of others, freedom from a toxic environment, freedom from an abusive boss, and so on. Freedom to pursue opportunities could be freedom to find fulfillment at work, to find meaning at work, and so on. The third kind of freedom at work has to do with the object of that freedom. Is it about the whole person and the ability of the whole person not to be interfered with by others? This is what we usually think of when we talk of independence or freedom. But there is another interesting way to look at freedom in this sense, and that is freedom from the tyranny of the lower self, of the ego. This is how Mahatma Gandhi thought of freedom in his Hind Swaraj. And this is what Beingfulness is about. Self-mastery, freedom from the lower self. And that is the kind of freedom we'll explore in the programs that we have under Beingfulness. I've described three approaches to freedom. In the first approach, it's about the kind of freedom. Is it over the ends, the ways, or the means at work? The second approach to freedom was in terms of freedom from and freedom to. The third approach to freedom was in terms of the object of freedom, the mastery of the lower self by the higher self. Think over these three different approaches and ask yourself at your work, what are the opportunities you have to pursue each of these approaches to freedom?